Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today's Monday, May 8th. It is 6:16 right now. Market's going to open in about 14 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we will get started shortly with our analysis for today. Let's see if I got anything else here. All right, perfect. Let me just set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly. A couple of things here to update. It's good. It's good. All right, perfect. All right, so it looks like we are good to go here. All right, link sent out right there in the premium groups. This link sent out over here as well. All right, perfect. All right, so I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in, and then we will get started with our analysis shortly. All right, so I'm gonna go and mark up the high lows over here for the liquidity. Start off with the daily real quick. Perfect. And hey, Van Harwig, how's it going? Morning. Morning, CJ. Morning, Kenny. Morning, guys. Happy Monday. Today's Monday, May 8th. It is 6:19 right now. Market's gonna open in about 11 minutes. So I'm setting up the high-low areas here for liquidity. Try to get them a little earlier today so that we can mark up these high lows and get everything knocked out before market open. So we'll get a few more moments for people to join in, but I'm going to be marking up these high lows right here, these untested high lows, as we get closer to market open here. Looks good. 30-minute. There. $15. All right, perfect. 10-minute, and we should be good to go. All right, looks like we're good to go, guys. So, all right, morning, Kenny, morning, Stern, morning, everybody. Looks like market is going to open in about 10 minutes. We got the high lows marked up here for the liquidity. So that looks good right now. The closest area of liquidity above is about 400 pips away. Liquidity to the bottom is about same distance. So, I mean, liquidity can hit in either direction. We'll see what the overall bias looks like shortly as we get closer to market open. But at the moment, it looks like it can pretty much come up in either direction here. Hey, Dan, morning. Morning, Shannon. Morning, guys. So, guys, today's Monday, May 8th. It is 6:21 right now. Market's going to open in about 9 minutes. I've marked up the areas of liquidity here from the daily down to the 10-minute. So we're ready to identify any areas of liquidity that may get hit on open. Other than that, let me just post this link up in a few more other places, and we should be good to go. Let's post it up on our social media real quick. All right. All right, looks like we're good to go, guys. So let's take a look at the news real quick from this morning. So from this morning today, we have, let's see, Monday, May 8th. Today is a European holiday. It's French bank holiday and a UK bank holiday. So the markets may be a little slower today, but we'll see how that picks up in a few. There's not really much news today at all. There's news at 7 o'clock. It's final wholesale inventories month over month. Nothing crazy. So we have something right here at 7 o'clock. I'll mark that up. So in the charts at first. So we've got news here at 7 o'clock. But it looks like that's about it for today. Let me refresh this. Yeah, wholesale inventories at 7 o'clock, and then consumer inflation expectations at 8. So just 2 news events today, low impact. And we'll see what happens when the market opens. So, all right, guys, market is opening in about 7 minutes. Let me check CNBC real quick. So right now, pre-market, the Dow is currently up 68 points. S&P is up 5 points. Nasdaq's down 21 points. Oil's up 2 points. 10-year bonds are up 3%. So looking at that here, it's somewhat bullish, not very strong. It's more of a neutral bullish with regard to fundamentals. Looking over here at retail sentiment. Retail sentiment is currently 67% short. This indicates that 67% of retail traders are currently selling right now. So we typically want to do the opposite and buy. So it looks like we might be looking for some buys today, but I mean, who knows what happens when the market actually opens. So with that said, we have a neutral to bullish bias with regard to fundamentals. We have a bullish bias with regard to retail sentiment because we want to trade opposite of everybody else. Here's breaking news for CNBC. 5 things to know before the stock market opens on Monday. Markets look to rebound. So that goes hand in hand with what we're looking for here, possible bullish buys. Buffett dishes, debt ceiling drama, regionals rise, Disney on deck. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. I mean, CNBC's reporting that, you know, the market's supposed to rebound this week. So we could look for a possible buy, most likely. I don't know how that'll play out, but we'll be looking for that possibly if it does bounce to the upside. Other than that, looking over here at all the time frames, everything here is pretty much bullish on the higher time frames, the 4-hour, 1-hour, and 30-minute time frames. As you guys can see, price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, and the pivots are all angling up. So with that said, we have a bullish bias with regard to the higher time frames. On the shorter time frames, though, we have a bit of a mixed bag. So looking over here on the 10-minute, we can see prices in between the pivots. However, the trend meter is green. Pivots are angling up on the 10-minute. So this is pretty much bullish neutral. The 5-minute over here is more on the neutral side because price is in between the pivots. However, the trend meter is blue and the pivots are starting to go sideways. Here on the 1-minute, price is bearish. So as you guys can see over here, this may be temporary pre-market and then price can swing back up on open. But I mean, we'll see what happens. Higher time frames are bullish. So we'll see if the lower time frames here will be leading for a drop back to the downside or a retracement on the higher time frames, or if price will continue to just correct back to the upside on open. So we'll see. My guess is that price may come down a little bit. This may just be a retracement on the lower time frames, and then eventually price will correct back up either later in the session or later in the week. Reason for that is because I do expect price to bounce or rebound, just like what CNBC reported. I mean, we don't know when this will happen exactly, but I think eventually this will probably play out. Let me check the rest of the week for any other news events. Not really much tomorrow. Wednesday, we have CPI. So we have a lot of inflation news here on Wednesday. CPI month over month, CPI year over year, of course, CPI month over month, 10-year bond auction, crude oil inventories. Thursday, we have a lot of inflation news. So this is basically inflation week. You can see on Wednesday, we have inflation news, CPI, core CPI. Thursday, we have PPI, core PPI, unemployment claims. And on Friday, we have UOM consumer sentiment, and then UOM inflation expectation. So this is basically inflation week. So we're probably going to see a slow market up until Wednesday, and then it's going to pick up pretty heavy. But, as I mentioned, I think price will probably correct back up eventually. So lower timeframes right here are bearish neutral. Higher timeframes are bullish. Other than that, I mean, that's about it for now, guys. So market is opening in about 3 minutes. We'll see what happens here shortly. And then we'll take it as it comes. Hey, Satya, morning. Morning, Glenn. Morning, Maria. Morning, guys. Nick said earnings for PayPal and Uber today. Solid. Yeah, that's why the NASDAQ is currently down right now. PayPal and Uber aren't in US30, so it's not necessarily going to affect it too much, but it's still going to have some sort of effect in the market. So thanks, Nick, for the heads up with regard to those companies releasing their the earnings. So I'm still looking over here at these entries on the 10-minute. What I consider these are momentum pullbacks. There was an entry that came up last night. I was going to take it, but I didn't want to risk it. I don't like taking trades on Sunday or pre-market Monday. I did mark it up just to see how it played out. It played out, but it took a very long time. So this entry right here came up at about, let's see, last night, like around 10 o'clock. So played for about 5 hours or 4 hours, actually, 4 to 5 hours for it to actually play out, but it did play out right there. I wouldn't take this here for a sell because I'm looking for, opposite direction, or I'm looking for corrections, direction of trend. One thing as well, guys, so I typically don't look for trend moves here on the high low momentum scalp, but I might be incorporating trend because it's going to be difficult to really take trades in the direction against, heavy trends or heavy biases. Like, for example, today, it's kind of mixed right here, but the higher time frames are still very bullish. So I think I'd probably be looking for buys here because the bias right now is kind of strong. If you guys noticed last week, the bias last week was very strong for a buy. So I wasn't really inclined to take sells unless I see something really good. If I see an entry for a sell and it's a really smooth entry and it's very clear, then I'll take it. But for the most part, I think I'll be looking to take trades in the direction of the trend, specifically here on the 1 minute for these specific 1 minute entries. However, if we're looking for, and the trend is very strong for a buy, then I'm not going to be looking for, trades in the opposite direction here. But we'll see when the market opens, because every week is a little different, guys. So you never want to take, previous analysis into the new week because it can easily shift at any moment. So market is opening in about 30 seconds, guys. There's nothing really to look at here. We have liquidity pushing down to the bottom over here, but I think this may be a little risky. I'll follow and see where it goes, but this is going to be the first area of liquidity down here. If it does hit, it goes in line with the short-term bias. So if it does drop down, it's going to be okay for the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 10, but the higher time frame is going to be a little risky. So I'll see where price ends up going through here. I think this is a pretty far push though. Actually, it's not too bad. It's like 100 pips. And there goes opening bell, guys. Market is now open. Let's see if this liquidity gets knocked right here. Huge wicks on the bottom side. So you can see right here, fake out to the bottom and then correction back to the upside. So I'd probably want to be careful taking some sells here. I know the liquidity here might get knocked, but you want to be a little careful looking for these and really time it properly if you guys are looking to take these types of entries. These entries are very risky. All right, price came back up right here, trajecting off the structure. Here is the clean chart. I'm going to go ahead and mark up opening time right there, 8 o'clock right there. Opening price right there. Yeah, price is a little far from these areas. So here's the higher high. And here is the lower low. So there goes a clean chart. Liquidity there didn't get hit yet. Liquidity is still a little lower. So we'll see if this liquidity gets hit, and then we'll probably maybe see if this will ride down lower from where it's currently at. It's kind of hard to set a pending order here because I can't see where price is at currently. We'll see if it blasts through this area here. All right, there goes liquidity that just got knocked. I don't know if anyone caught the liquidity push there. I got it, so I got a full TP on that. So I don't know if anyone else caught that liquidity push right there. I was waiting for it to come down, hit liquidity, knock right through. Straight to my TP, total profit of 2,740 on that move. Nice move right there. So if you guys caught it, sweet move right there. Quick entry. Satyam caught it. Great work. So the reason why I was okay with the sell here is because I mentioned on the shorter time frames, it's bearish, right? It's bearish on the 10, 5, and 1. It's not bearish on the higher time frames, but it is bearish on the lower time frames. And also I mentioned that this could be a strong just push to the downside and then correction back up. So I'm not really looking to take long-term trades for it to sell. I think this here is going to be short-term. Price might just reverse right back up from where it's currently at. You guys can see there's a double body rejection here. This is a V1 variation. I wouldn't necessarily take it though, because the trend is still bearish and price is still dropping a little further from there. There goes as price blasts right through that liquidity area. So I'll take a screenshot of this real quick, just so that you guys are aware of the trade that I took. All right, solid. OTP. So full TP right there, guys. Looks like Kenny took it as well. If you guys have profits to post up, feel free to post them up. I'll post mine up as well. Here's Kenny's profits for the day. He took both the liquidity pushes, total profit of 1,240 for the day, all wins. Great work right there, Kenny. So yeah, if you guys have profits to post up, feel free. Price is still dropping right there. I'm gonna go and mark up opening price right here real quick on this chart. There's opening price. And I think that's it for right now. There's nothing for us to take at the moment. I'm gonna mark up the higher high right here. Lower low still pushing around, so I'll mark up that lower low in a few once I have the opportunity. All right, so MFF screwed me again, but it's not. No, actually, no, they did. They definitely screwed me. I was gonna say maybe not, but they did. Just looking at my profits right now. It's supposed to be 1,000. FTMO did fine. I was hoping MFF would be a bit better now, but they're still not any better. All right, so there goes my profit so far on that trade. I'll take my individual profit shortly, so I make sure I don't miss anything here, but I don't think I'm going to miss anything. Does not look like we're going to have anything coming up. So there was another area of liquidity right here. I wouldn't have taken this lower level though, because price is overextended. So if you guys have heard from before, I've mentioned to you guys, there's going to be different levels of liquidity here, but there's going to be certain areas where I'm just going to avoid them because it's just overextended way too far out. So there was another area of liquidity here. I mean, it could still probably hit, but I'm not looking to take it, of course, because this is a huge overextension. As you guys can see, I'm going to go and just measure this from, so this higher high right here, basically down to here. Price pretty much dumped about 1,500 pips pre-market. It's due for retracement, right? So I wouldn't have taken the trade there specifically. Or if I do decide to take it at some point, I would look for the correction back down. So I look for the price to drop, retracement, and then correction back down. But even in this case, I probably wouldn't take it because, as I mentioned before, guys, I think this drop here is short term. I don't think this is going to hold. I think price will correct back up. And that's kind of what's happening here. There was a V1 variation right here, actually. Not sure if anyone identified that. There was a V1 variation double body rejection right there. So some people might have taken that for a buy, actually. Correction to the upside. Right there. I didn't take that, but just wanted to show you guys. Double body rejection right there. Lower low, pending buy signal. Still no buy signal here. So it's probably going to keep pushing up, a bit further. And there it goes, price pushes back up. All right, so if price pushes up above here, guys, one thing that you can look for here is going to be a high-low momentum scalp. One thing that I discussed with Alexander yesterday, I don't think he's here right now, but Alexander, one of our members, he was mentioning if I can like kind of give more of a hint when to like either enter a trade late or enter right away. So for this one right here, what I would look at is this candle. So focus on this candle right here. If you see it keep dropping like how it is right here, like see how there's a wick, it comes up and there's a wick and it comes up and there's another wick. If that keeps happening like this right here, I would not take this trade directly, right? I would wait for a possible retracement and correction back to the upside. This right here is not a good candle. So the question that he asked me yesterday or over the weekend when he saw me in person was, you know, how am I able to determine when to enter a trade late or when to enter it right away? Typically, I usually wait when the candle's like this, because you can see how the momentum signal disappeared. And again, right there, obviously there's no entry. So again, with the same next candle right here, if you're looking to take this entry here, because we do have a lower low and there's a buy signal here pending. So if this does close above the pivots 1 and 2, then this is going to be an entry for a high low momentum scalp. But the way that I'm able to determine whether I want to enter it right away or whether I want to wait and put a buy stop there is depending on how iffy the candle is, right? This is what I consider an iffy candle because this candle right here keeps disappearing. So if you want a for sure candle, you want to make sure that it just stays with a buy signal and it doesn't disappear. For this right here, I would wait. So this might shoot up at the last like 5 seconds and it'll provide a buy signal, but I wouldn't enter at that point. I would wait for price to retrace back and then shoot back up. And that's where I'd put my buy stop for late entry. But right here does not look like we're going to close. So it's not going to look like we're going to have any entry here anyways to begin with. So just pay attention to the candle here. This does not look like a good candle at all. And of course, right there, no entry again. Negative, invalid buy signal. So there's not going to be anything for us to take there. So you guys aren't missing out on anything right now. We're still waiting for this to play out. Yeah, no problem, Song. Yeah, Alexander asked me that yesterday because the thing is, for me, guys, I don't really think about this stuff because it's like common sense to me, right? It's like this clicks for me. If the candle looks iffy, I'm not going to take the candle. And if I do enter late, because sometimes I'll tell you guys, okay, wait for the candle to close, and then I miss the closure, and then I wait for the retracement, and then I set my buy stop there, right? I don't really explain that to you guys because I figured you guys would understand that because I typically give you guys a hint that, okay, this is an iffy candle. You should probably want to wait a little bit. But I just want to make it clear that that's usually where I wait. And then I do wait for the price to pull back, and then I'll look for a retracement and then correction back to the upside with a buy stop. But yeah, if I find another example like that, I'll let you guys know, and then I'll try to keep the chart open. If we have a pending entry, I'll keep the chart open so we can analyze it to the very last second, so that you guys can see whether what's a good candle and what's not a good candle. But other than that, there's nothing else for us to take right here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. There's no more liquidity here. This liquidity has been knocked out. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up right there. Next area of liquidity is going to be down here. The next area of liquidity to the top side is going to be up here. So price might correct all the way to the upside right here and provide liquidity on this area right here for a buy. So, I mean, possibly something to look at if price does swing up to that area, but at the moment, price is pretty far from those areas. Other than that, let me take a screenshot of my profits, and then we will continue on with our analysis for today. All right. So it looks good right there. There's no entries for us right now, guys. Don't worry. We're not missing out on anything. I'm still looking at the charts. So my profits are all my MFFs are the same, so I'm just going to screenshot one. All right. All right, so here are my profits for the day so far. Here's my F201 account, total profit of 2,740 for the day. Green strip right here for the full TP. That's the liquidity push that I took. Here is the second entry right here on my F201 number 2, total profit of 1,840. Nice one right there. And here's my MFF accounts. First account 670, second account 670, and my third account 670 right here. And here's the screenshot of all my accounts on my copier. So not too bad. Decent way to kick off the week. Here's some profits from Maria. So Maria locked in a total profit of 355. She let that trade run to full TP. Green strip right there. Nice work, Maria. So she took that liquidity push to full TP. And here's Kenny over here, total profit of 1,240. So, all right, we're just going to wait for the next opportunity here. And we'll hop in when we get that chance. All right, other than that, if you guys have any profits to post up, feel free. Otherwise, we are looking for any possible opportunity to make entry here. There's nothing to take right now at the moment. There's liquidity, nothing around here either. All right, no high-level momentum scalps, nothing here. Price is so far from the zones here. I'm not even going to bother drawing the zones. Price is just too far from it. There's no point. All right, so let's take a look at everything else here. So looking over here on the lower time frames, price is still bearish on the 1, 5, and 10. Price is more on the neutral side here on the 1 as price continues to push to the upside. Higher time frames over here are still bullish, as you can see on the 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour time frames. Price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up. The 4 hour here isn't confirmed yet, but it is starting to push up higher. And we'll see where this ends up going. But the 1 minute over here, you can see that price is not doing anything. It's literally just going sideways right now. There's no entry for us here, guys. There's no higher high. So we can't take any sells here at the moment. And so the same thing that I mentioned earlier, guys, with, waiting for that candle to close, it works for pretty much any type of strategy that you're looking for. It's basically going to be based off the momentum. So for example, right here, you can see how this candle right here is a pending momentum sell. And you can see how the wicks on the bottom are kind of just pushing, but it's not very strong, right? It's retaining its power. And then right here, you can see how price pulls back a bit. This is where you want to be careful. I know some of you guys are still applying the pivot scalp strategy and the momentum scalp strategy. So there is a pending pivot scalp and momentum scalp here, but this is not one I would take. I would let this probably retrace up a little bit. You can see right here, it's retracing up. And if you do want to enter a sell, once it's done retracing up, you'd enter a sell stop there. It's a little too late here, but that's like one of the things that I was trying to explain earlier. So if you guys take the pivot scalp here, full TP, I didn't take the trade, so it's not going to count. But there was a pivot scalp entry right here. I think maybe also a momentum scalp. Yeah, there's also a momentum scalp here because there's a sell signal on the 10 and sell signal here on the 5. So if anyone over here is taking any of my other strategies, there was another entry that just came up right there, and it was a full TP for a pivot scalp and a momentum scalp. All right, let me scroll up real quick. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions over here. Let me scroll up real quick. Let's see. Nick said, I think they're trying to trap sellers right now and push price right back up. 1 hour is wicking off the pivots. 1 5 minute has a huge wick. Yeah, I could see that too, Nick. Question from William. William's asking, I have a question about liquidity. Are the higher time frame high-low levels more reliable for the liquidity push entry, or are they all pretty much the same in your experience? Definitely the higher levels are more reliable because they haven't been tested in a long time, William. So if you look over here at my the zones that I drew, I only go down to the 10-minute. I don't go anywhere lower than the 10-minute. So I start from the daily, go down to the 8-hour, 4-hour, 2-hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute, and a 10-minute. So I go to those specific time frames. I don't go anything lower than that because it's pretty much noise at that point. I mean, they're still useful, but there's a lot of noise. Like you can see over here, there's a lot of liquidity that you could have marked up on the 1 minute here, which are still useful, but I wouldn't necessarily bank on these being like, the key levels to look at because there's so many areas of liquidity. if you want to use the lower time frames, you want to make sure that you get bunches of liquidity marked up like this. So you get like 3 levels or like 2 levels all in one area. So you can still use lower levels, but you want to make sure that you have like a lot of liquidity there. You don't just have like one line. Because if you have 1 or 2 lines, it's not really too useful, right? Because it's just one high low. But if you have a lot of lines, like for example, down here, I mean, if you marked up all these levels down here, obviously you can see that all these levels of liquidity would have lined up with the ones that we already marked up on the higher time frames. Because it's just multiple levels, but the higher time frames are stronger because they haven't been tested. So you can see right here, I would still consider this liquidity because there's so much levels here, but you wouldn't know which entry to take because there's too many levels, right? So that's why I talk about it being noise, but it's still useful. Like you can still use it. It's just not going to be as accurate as the higher time frames. So price is coming back down here to this next level of liquidity. I'm not going to take this area right here, guys. It's a little too late for me to take this entry here if I'm looking for it, but I will mark it up for you guys right here. I probably should have taken it, but it's all good. I'm not going to risk it because price is still a bit overextended. I know it did retrace up and it came back down. I actually would have taken this entry if I was more prepared, but I'm not going to FOMO into the trade there. So I would consider this FOMO if I was to enter this because it's just too late to enter. Plus the overextension is very long. So there you go with the liquidity push right there. This liquidity area is off the, it's off the 1 hour. So I drew this liquidity right here off the 1 hour time frame. And you can see we use it on the 1 minute for entry. Full TP right there. I don't know if anybody caught it, but this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, guys. So sometimes if price is overextended like this, you want to wait for it to retrace up and then catch the correction back down. So typically I would have taken that trade if I was paying attention to it, but I wasn't paying attention. So I'm not going to just hop into it and FOMO into that move because that's typically what happens when people blow their accounts, right? If you guys ever blow account, if you guys ever like take big losses or blow an account, I'm like almost 100% sure is because you guys were revenge trading or over trading or FOMO. So this here, even though it did play out, I didn't take it because I wasn't ready to take the trade. It just came up down below. CJ caught it. William caught it. Nice work, guys. So a lot of guys here actually caught that move there for another liquidity push. Would have been a nice entry, but I'm not looking to take anything too risky here. Of course, you know, if I was managing it and identifying it properly, I would have taken it, but it's all good. So I'm glad to see some of you guys here did take my analysis, took the trade there, full TP. You know, if you ever miss a trade, guys, just skip it. I think that's the main thing that people have problems with. I talked about this with Alexander as well. His problem is that he just FOMOs into the move. Like the trade will already be in full TP or like near full TP and he'll enter it super late. And then he ends up in like very, very deep drawdown because he gets in too late. So CJ caught it, Maria caught it, William caught it. Nice work, guys. A lot of you guys here caught it. Satyam caught it as well. So Satyam took it. He's now up 5 wins for the day to go with the sell stop. And he's now up for the week. So Satyam got his 5 wins for the day. He's now moving to his demo account, smart move. So that's a key thing. So Satyam here has been part of the, you know, the live stream for a while now. He has a system in place. Once he has his 5 wins, he moves over to his demo and he keeps trading, but he doesn't overtrade because now he's on his demo. So he can do whatever he wants, but he's not going to be risking his actual account. So smart move right there, Satyam. Other than that, there's nothing else for us to take right now. New level, drop below. So I'm going to go and just update this right there. And there goes the lower end right there. V1 variation right here, Satyam just mentioned. Not one I would personally take because the trend is looking very strong for a sell now. So I'm not really looking to take any buys at the moment specifically. I think it's too risky because the bias is pretty strong for a sell. Looking over here at the fundamentals, are currently down 50 points now. So they're not extremely strong for a sell, but I mean, it is neutral bearish right now with regard to fundamentals. Looking over here at sentiment's still bullish. So I actually want this to add up right here. You can see the numbers getting higher. Eventually this is going to bounce. I don't know when the bounce is going to happen, but the bounce is going to happen eventually. It's going to be a correction back to the upside. And when that does happen, my target price point is going to be the opening price right here. So if and when price does correct back up, this is the target area for correction, opening price. All right, so we're cool for right now. Let me check real quick. Nick said that MT4 is behind like 5 seconds. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. That's another reason why I like using YM data. So you guys can see right here, we're getting this data directly from the exchange, so we don't have any lag here. Everything here is pretty much real time. There's no lag with regard to data. A lot of brokers, their data will lag sometimes because their data is not up to date, right? They're basically copying from, or they're pulling their data from like these types of brokers or from the exchange. For us, we might as well just get it directly from the exchange, since if we do enter on here, we're probably gonna get a head start on whatever broker we execute our trades on. So we'll see where this ends up taking us, but there's no entries for us right now. There's a lower low. Price is pushing up. If price does push up and break and close above the pivots 1 and 2 over here, possible entry for a buy. But as I mentioned, guys, you want to be a bit careful taking buys here because everything here is starting to shift. The higher time frames are starting to turn bearish as well. There's a rejection here off the 30-minute. So price may bounce here, but I mean, who knows, right? We don't know for sure if that bounce is actually going to happen. So possible bounce on the 30-minute. Here we go on the 1 minute. Lower low, pending buy signal right here. Again, you want to follow this candle, right? This signal right here. So follow this candle right here and see if it pulls back. If it looks like an iffy candle where it's not very strong and there's no clear direction, then you might want to skip it. So for example, here we have 40 seconds left on this candle. We'll see how the candle ends up closing. If it does close, there's a possible entry there for a buy. But again, I'm going to be watching this candle here. If it starts to pull back a little bit, then obviously I'm going to look for that retracement to the downside. So, and if you want to look on a closer base, you can even go on the lower, like the even lower time frames. So right here, price is pushing it pretty nice. It's got about 15 seconds left on the candle. Okay, see that pullback right there? This is where I would be like, okay, I'm probably not going to take this right away if it does close. I don't think it's going to close, but if it does close, this isn't a candle I would take right away. I would wait for it to pull back a little bit, maybe set a buy stop right there and then catch it on it rise up. So right there, no entry. No buy signal there. There's another pending buy signal right here. So again, we'll see where this ends up closing. And then if you guys want to see on a closer level, you guys can go on the 10-second time frame. You can go on the smaller candles over here and you can say, okay, how are these candles right here closing, right? We have about 40 seconds left. This is a 10-second time frame, and you can see that they're starting to stay red right here. So this does not look like a good candle. Price may push up at the last second, but this right here does not look good, right? This is the 10-second time frame. We go back to the 1 minute. You can see right there, it does not look good. It stays red. So no entries here at all. Still waiting for some confirmation here. Pending buy signal, it's invalid. So it's not going to be an entry for a high level momentum scalp if it closes. All right, so it looks like price is just consolidating right here. Another possible buy signal right here pending. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have anything here. It's all good. So there we go. No entry there for a high level momentum scalp. I mean, price, there's still an opportunity for it to come up here. But, the way that the candles are currently moving, it's not looking like we're going to have any entry here. So, all right, there's no entries here at the moment. We'll see where this continues on. There's no more areas of liquidity here. Scroll around real quick. Yeah, there's no liquidity. Liquidity is way down here, so we got a long way to go. Not really expecting any liquidity here to get knocked. All right, so I don't think we're going to have an entry here for a high level momentum scalp, guys. The reason for that is because there's a new high low in between, or lower high. So in order for there to be an entry here, price we need to push up pretty strongly above this area and close above there with the buy signal. So I don't see any high level momentum scalps coming up here anytime soon. There's no area of liquidity anywhere near. Next area of liquidity is like way up here, so that's about 1,500 pips away. It's got a long way to go for liquidity. Over here for the SR rejection scalps, there's no zones around this area. It's pretty far off. So just nothing here over here at all, or nothing like coming up here at all. Let's see, Randy said the candle wick analysis is extremely helpful. Yeah, definitely, Randy. I mean, you can use this for you guys as, whatever analysis you guys look at as well. But this is based mainly off my off my momentum signals, because the momentum signals here act as a catalyst, right? So like, for example, here, the sell signal over here is fine. Now, let me show you guys real quick. So let me just show you guys a quick example of what I mean by that. So like, if you guys ever wanted to test it, you can put a little line right there, replay it to that candle, and then you can go on lower time frame, like the 10-second, and just see how this candle moved, right? This 10-minute candle is basically multiple 10-second candles. So you can see right here, it was a red candle, retraced up a little bit, but it closed very strong. So this little area right here is that 1-minute candle. So see how the analysis here with this candle movement, it came down pretty strong, some retracement here, but it finished off strong right there. So you go down to the 1-minute time frame, and you're like, okay, this is a sell signal right here. It came down pretty strong. So at that point, you enter your sell position, and then you let the trade run, full TP, right? So I like to base these off my momentum signal. If you can analyze how strong the momentum signal is, I mean, you can just trade basically directly off the momentum signals, because you can pinpoint exactly how that candle is going to move next. So just a little hint there for you guys. I don't really explain it that way when I'm teaching you guys these strategies, because I figured it to be common sense. If you can like identify how the candle moves, you can pretty much predict if that momentum is actually legit or if it's not. Like, you can go over here to this candle right here, and you can see it's a red candle. If you did the same analysis on this, I would not take this buy signal, because for one, it's invalid, and for two, if you were to break it down, it would look like a weak candle. So other than that, let's see. Satyam said, I agree. I keep watching Sean explain, and it helps so much as I am new to all of this. Yeah, no, definitely, Satyam. I'm glad a lot of you guys here are taking taking something away from my analysis and explanation here, because I'm pretty much giving you guys a blueprint. I'm literally telling you guys what to look for and how to avoid bad trades. If you guys listen and you guys take this knowledge and actually use it to your advantage, it can be pretty crucial to your profitability. Other than that, there's nothing for us to take right now. No liquidity, no high-low momentum scalps here, nothing on the 10. Higher time frames over here are pretty much still bouncing around. So it looks like the volatility here died down a bit, but higher time frames here are pretty much neutral at the moment. Lower time frames are still bearish, but I'm still looking for that correction back to the upside. That's probably going to happen eventually. Going back to CNBC over here, I mean, it's pretty much flat. It's been at about 50 points for the past hour or so. It's been stuck there. Sentiment here is starting to soften a little bit. Sentiment is now at 66% short. So not really much to identify here. There's no telling what's going to happen next, but we'll see as price continues to, obviously push around a bit. Thanks, Kenny. Kenny said that the spread is 150 on US30. That's perfect. It's a good spread. Anything below 190 is good. Anything above that is kind of widespread. So if you ever trade during Asia session, you'll see spreads about like 300 on the quick trade manager. That's like kind of wide. It's not the best spread, because you have to cover the spread before you make profit. And if the spread's that wide, you got to get a pretty decent push before you can make any profit on the trade. Let's see. Nick said, hoping for at least one good trade today, trying to come back from last week. Yeah, no, same here. So this is the news candle right here. I'm going to mark up news price. There is the news candle right there, 7 o'clock. Here we are back to the clean chart. Let's make some updates on these zones here. All right, so opening price is still at that area. There's no higher high that's been established yet. Price is still staying below this area. So here is our clean chart. The blue line right here is going to be opening price. This is going to be the lower low. This is going to be the higher high. This is pretty much the range for the day so far. Not really useful. I mean, we'll see. Let me turn on the sessions real quick. I didn't realize my sessions were off. All right, so as you can see over here, price is kind of just being manipulated around the session. So this purple line right here is the Asia low from yesterday and the London high. So you can see where price gets manipulated. It's around this area right here. So probably a good area to avoid. Here we go, as price continues to range and consolidate around this area right here where the sessions are at. You know, it's actually easier to see here on the clean chart. So you guys can see right here where the sessions are at. I could draw another zone right here. And if I turn off the sessions, you guys can see this whole area right here is an area of manipulation. So you probably don't want to take any trades around this area right here, because what I see happening here is price is going to keep squeezing tighter and tighter on this area. And then when price is done squeezing, it's going to break out either to the upside or to the downside. And you don't want to get caught in that mess. So you probably want to wait for, you know, some sort of confirmation before actually looking to make entry here. But I think this area right here is an area of manipulation. The reason for that is because this is where the sessions is currently at. Let me turn on the sessions indicator again one more time. Right here, this purple line is the Asia low, and this red line right here is the London high. So with that said, you know, this is going to be an area where price is going to make its move from. So if you look back higher over here, look when price was over here at the Asia high, price kind of got manipulated there slightly, pulled down a little bit, faked out, shot down super heavy. Same with this area right here. So if you just go back over here and you look at the previous sessions, look where price gets manipulated, where this purple line is, right? Same with right here, price gets to this green line, manipulation, fake out, came right down super heavy. So if you guys are familiar with my red flags, you know, these sessions are probably one of the most important areas to avoid, because typically this is where you get caught up in a mess a lot of the times. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, it doesn't mean that you guys need to avoid the trades around those areas, but for me personally, I would personally avoid them because I see a lot of manipulation happen around this area. Last thing you want to do is enter a sell. As soon as you enter that sell, price spikes up, stops you out, right? Or then vice versa. Last thing you want to do is take a buy here. As soon as you take a buy, price spikes down, stops you out. And then it pulls back into that area and goes straight to your TP. So yeah, just be careful around this area. Not really a good area to trade in. And you can see how price just continues to go sideways. Here's some profits from Chow. So Chow took the double body below for the V1 variation. This is the one that Satyam took as well. So Chow took this trade here, full TP on that. Nice full TP of 930 profit. Great work, Chow. So yeah, if you guys just listen to my analysis, you know, I'm going to provide you guys with multiple entries that you guys can take. I'll let you guys know how risky they are. But at the moment, there's just nothing for us to take right now specifically. So again, right here, we have a pending buy signal. There's no entry here, but I'm just gonna analyze this buy signal to identify, you know, if this is something that I would necessarily consider a good candle or whether it's one I would sit out. So right here, price is pushing up a bit. It's retracing down a little heavy. Strong retracement right there. Definitely a candle I would avoid. Or if I was to take this for a buy, I'd wait for a retracement if it does close. But you can see right here that it's not a good candle to take. We're just doing a quick, you know, candle analysis of like how these candles move. Right here, it may close. But again, right there, I wouldn't have taken this trade specifically if there was an entry here. There's no entry here though. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up. There's no entry here. I was just analyzing the candle to determine whether it's one that I would maybe possibly enter right away or one I would wait for retracement. So if I did want to take this trade, I'd wait for retracement and then I'd have a buy stop there as it comes back up. If there was an entry there, there's no entry here, but I'm saying if there was, that's what I would have done. So there's no entry here. It's just a momentum signal. Trend is bearish, so I wouldn't be looking to take a buy here anyways, but you know, price does have to correct back up eventually. So what I do see happening here is I do see price correcting back up eventually at some point, but there is no entry there. All right, so we actually have a new zone down here. USR zone right there. We would need a sell signal to look for entry at this point. So there would need to be a sell signal in place. I'm gonna take this off. I don't want you guys to get confused. I think that there's an entry here, but just wanted to show you guys that analysis. So again, right here, you can see price is pulling right back down into the sessions. So guys, see how this manipulation happens? So price pulls up above, makes people think that price is going to push away from it, but then it pulls right back into this area of manipulation. So this is why I was telling you guys should avoid areas around these where these candles are currently appearing, because a lot of this will happen. So this is a possible pivot scalp entry that's coming up right here. Again, if you're going to analyze the chart, the candle, this candle is not a good candle. You can see how the wick keeps appearing and disappearing, and it just pulled back right there. So for one, this is a red flag area. So if you guys are looking to take pivot scalps, this is not an area to take a trade, because there's obvious red flags here. News price, Asia low, London high, not a good area to trade in. But if you're just doing a candle analysis off this momentum, you just want to see how the candle ends up closing. Obviously right here doesn't look so great. And again, if you want to go on the lower time frames to do it on a even lower analysis, you can do that as well. So what you can do here is you can set this up, then you can drop down to the 10-second time frame, and you can kind of see how these candles here are starting to close. So if it ends up pushing down lower and it continues to be a nice, red drop, then possibly something that you can look for, but nothing specific here. About 20 seconds left on this candle. You guys can see how these candles here are starting to close. Not looking so great, right? Go back to the 1 minute. You have the pending sell signal there, but you can see on the 10, and it ended up closing nicely. So this right here ended up closing nicely below, and you can see it would have blasted right through to your TP. So if you guys took that pivot scalp there, looks like it already went through your TP. Not one I took, but I just wanted to give you guys a candle analysis off that momentum. So this stuff moves really fast. You have to really be paying attention, but this is not, it wouldn't be an official entry if you were to take a pivot scalp, because it's right at the sessions. So obviously red flags there. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the criteria again right here for the pivot scalp. 1 minute pivot scalp. Confirm overall bias. I don't even think there would be an overall bias, because, or actually maybe there would be. Let's see. So it's bearish here. You have the overall, you have the bias for the trend for a sell. You have the fundamentals over here. Neutral sell or neutral bearish, but the sentiment here is very strong. So you would have some sort of a bias here for a sell, but it wouldn't be a super strong bias. But again, on top of that, there is the red flags. You still wouldn't have taken the trade either way. Let's see. Jonathan here is asking, was the previous candle a double body, the one next to the buy signal? No, it wasn't, Jonathan. So you can see right here, if you zoom in a little bit, the bodies are very far apart. The top of the body is right here, or the buy signal. And then, yeah, this one right here is below it. So this would not be a double body. It's a double body from the bottom, but there's no low there. So if you are looking for the double body on the bottom side, there would have to be a low there. The reason why I know there's no low is because there's a high right here. They can't be a low and a high at the same candle. So that wouldn't be a double body right there specifically. I don't see any other ones here either. So there's no double body here. There's no double body here. Nothing here. Yeah, the only double body is going to be right here at 650, which was like 20 minutes ago. All right, so there's no entries right now at the moment, guys. Still looking for something to take here, but there's just nothing for us to take at the moment. Price is dropping down lower, so there's new lower level right here. Lower level right there. Next area of liquidity is still very far below, guys. So looking at this right here, it's about 1,270 pips. It might get hit later today. I don't think it'll happen in the next 50 minutes or so, but that's going to be the next level down there. Right down here. It's got a while ago. So I'll get to that point. All right, there's no SR rejections here. Price needs to reject off the zone. There's no rejection off the zone. So no SR rejection here. No momentum scalps here, or high level momentum scalps. The zone just keeps dropping a little lower, but there is nothing here specifically to look at. 10-minute, nothing here. All right, let's just take another review of everything again. Let me see if there's any news that like randomly popped up. Sometimes news come up randomly. Again, if you guys are just joining or if you guys didn't see the news earlier, today's a bank holiday for the UK, also a French bank holiday for Europe in general. So European markets are technically closed today for the most part. There's no other news though. We had news over here at 7. It's pretty much neutral. It was a final wholesale inventories month over month. Yeah, it's pretty much flat. It's just 0%. We do have inflation news this week, guys. So just an FYI, today might be a little flat. So it's okay if you don't get any entries today. I was expecting that. Tomorrow's kind of flat too. We have the Fed speaking at 9 and we have the Fed speaking at 5:30. So we have the Fed speaking pre-market and then mid-market. And then Wednesdays when the news starts to come in. So we have CPI, CPI month over month, CPI year over year, core CPI month over month. Basically, inflation is pre-market. So you're going to see some crazy movement before the market opens on Wednesday. And then we have some more inflation news on Thursday, core PPI, PPI month over month, and unemployment claims. So a lot of pre-market movement for Wednesday and Thursday. Then we have the Fed speaking during our live session at 7:15. Then on Friday, we have prelim UOM consumer sentiment and UOM inflation expectations at 7 o'clock on Friday. So this week might be a little slow until like Wednesday. And then I think Wednesday, we're going to see some pretty crazy movement, or we might get some crazy movement tomorrow as people start to predict where the inflation news is going to be sitting. So yeah, I'm not expecting too much of a crazy movement today. There's just nothing going on. No news, plus it's a bank holiday for Europe. Yeah, nothing here. So just a reminder, guys, we'll be having our regularly scheduled mentoring session today at 2 p.m. If you guys want me to hold it later, if you guys want to reschedule for another day, just let me know. Just chime into the chat. You guys just have to let me know. And I'm open to rescheduling the mentoring session. So I just want to make sure that it's available for a majority of people to join. If 2 p.m. doesn't work for you, just let me know. We can always make changes. And if other people are okay with it, we can even change the day. I just like doing it on Monday so that you guys can be, fully prepared for the trading week. So if you guys have any questions about the strategies, any analysis that you guys want to request, I can provide that for you guys at the beginning of the week so that you guys are ready for the rest of the trading week ahead. All right, there's no entries here. Still nothing going on. There was a pending buy signal there, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen or close. Looking over here at the timeframes again, lower timeframes are still very bearish, as you guys can see. Bearish over here on the 1, bearish on the 5, bearish on the 10. It's starting to shift here on the 30-minute. 30 minutes neutral, but it's still kind of in between. 1 hour here is neutral as well, but it's still bullish. And the 4 hour over here is also in between. So we'll see. There's not really too much movement here. Here's a clean chart. I'm going to go ahead and make some changes here again. All right. Yeah, not really much going on here. What I'm looking for is for a floor to get established. I'm looking for some sort of floor to be established here, because once we have that floor, we can start to look for the bounce back to the upside. So what I can do here is I can actually draw areas where price may likely bounce from. So it looks like the closest area here is going to be on the 30-minute, which it's getting a little close to. So I drew that low right there on the 30-minute where price may likely bounce to the upside. I pretty much connected it to all my charts here. So if I go here to the 10-minute, I'll just maximize this. And you can see this is where the bounce may happen. So for me, I don't trade order blocks. I don't trade supply and demand or any of that stuff. I just trade trend, momentum, and sort of like support and resistance. So like, for example, right here, this would be the support to look for, where price can maybe possibly bounce off of. And this is taken off the 30-minute time frame. So we'll see if this bounce, ends up happening. No telling if it does, but that's the next level of bounce. 30-minute time frame. There's nothing here on the 1 hour, nothing on the 4 hour, nothing on the 10 really. Well, the 10 lines up with that area as well. So the same low over here that I marked up on the 30-minute is the same level right here on the 10. So it looks like a pretty strong level for price to bounce from. Same with the 5. I mean, there's some other levels right here as well where price can bounce, but as I mentioned before, lower time frames aren't as strong as the higher time frames. So I mean, there may be a possible bounce here off the 5, but I wouldn't really bank on it. I would bank on the higher time frames. All right, so nothing here at all to look at. I mean, price is very bearish here on the lower time frames. So I do think price may drop down at least a little lower. All right, new zone right there. So, all right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I don't really have anything for us to take right now. It's 7:17 right now, so we still have a lot of time. Don't worry, guys. Still have a lot of time until 8. A lot of room for opportunity, but right now there's just nothing for us to take. So we're just kind of just winging it until something here comes up. If anything, price might drop down lower and knock out that or bounce off that area we marked up on that 10 and 30. So come back to it. Nick's asking if a buy scalp came up right now, would you take it? No. So all my analysis right now basically said I'm looking for a sell. The area that I look for the bounce, Nick, would be down here. So it's nowhere near that area yet. So there's no reason for me to look for a buy. You're just counter trend trading at that point. If you're going to do something like that, you're counter trend trading. Odds of you losing the trade is very likely. So I definitely would not look for a buy scalp anywhere around this area. Because I mentioned the area of the bounce would be right here. Price is nowhere near that area yet. So it's still got like, 70 pips to go. So I'm definitely not looking for any buys right here specifically. I mean, everything here pretty much identifies not to take a buy, right? We look at pretty much the overall bias. It's not looking like a good area to take buys right now. Possibly if we do get, some sort of high-low momentum scalp, but again, I probably wouldn't even take that trade at that point. It's just not a good area right now. So there's no, I mean, there's technically a possible high-low momentum scalp on this candle right here. Not one that I would personally take because, again, as I mentioned, it's not a good area right now. It still looks like price needs to drop a little lower. And right here, this candle is not even very strong. The candle here is still, it's like flickering, but it's not even strong. It looks like it's not even close. Yeah, definitely nothing right there. Let's see, question from Barty. Barty's asking, you used to take 250 pip TP and 500 pip for which system or which strategy, Sean? I mean, there's a lot of strategies you can use for that. It just depends on like which one you plan on applying. Barty, those strategies are based off the higher time frame. So like if you're going to apply that, there's a lot of strategies you can use. Basically the same strategies we're applying here, but it's just on a higher time frame. So you're not going to use something like that on the 1 minute because it's too big of a move. If you're trading on something like, or if there's movement, I mean, depends. So if you look at the criteria here, Barty, I think you're confused about like how that's used, right? Because the criteria here says use 100 to 300 or 250 to 500 based on conditions. You're not going to use a 250 to 500 TP stop loss if market is moving like 100 pips, right? like for example, right here, price is barely moving. You're not going to use a 25 to 50 right here. It's just not going to make sense, right? If you're taking a short position here and your TP stop loss is 25.50, that's a big move, right? Like if you're trading here on the 1 minute, if price is volatile, so like for example, if price is volatile like this right here, then yeah, you would take something like that, right? Because you have like opportunity to take the bigger moves. But right here, you wouldn't take it. So I think you're just a little confused about like when to use it. You can use it for any strategy, it just depends on the movement. So if you're on the 1 minute and price is moving very slow, you're not going to use it. If price is moving very fast on the 1 minute, then you would use the 25.50. Vice versa, if you're on the 10-minute time frame, you're not going to use a 10-30 split on a 10-minute time frame, right? It just doesn't make sense. If you do a 10-30 split right here, you're going to be very close to hitting your stop loss if each candle is moving like 500 pips. So I think your confusion here is like there's no strategy that's specifically for 25.50. I mean, there is one if you're on the higher time frames, but again, that's because the volatility that's moving. You have to base everything off market conditions. If you're on the 10-minute time frame and each candle is moving like 500 pips, you might not even take a trade that's 25.50. You might take something that's like 500, or even something that is 1,500, right? If you're doing the daily entry, it just depends on what you're taking, Barty. So I think you might be a little confused because there are specific strategies, but for the most part, it's going to be based off market conditions. Because even the 10-minute here can be slow. Like if you're trading pre-market over here, like this area right here, you're not going to use a 10-30 split on this, or you're not going to use a 25.50, right? So for example, here you want to take a buy, you wouldn't use a 25.50 because it's going to take like an hour for your trade to hit, right? So it just depends on like the market conditions. That's the main thing that you want to look at, depending on your time frame that you're trading on and the market conditions. But you're not necessarily just like, okay, I'm going to apply the pivot scalp on the 1 minute, use a 25.50, or use it on the 30-minute or 10-minute. It just depends because each market's slightly different. Let me just clean this up a little bit right here. So that there's never any cookie cutter way of trading, guys. You guys got to keep that in mind. I feel like a lot of you guys are looking for something that's cookie cutter where you just set in place like, okay, I'm going to apply this for this time frame or whatever. But sometimes markets can be slow. Sometimes markets can be fast. So you have to gauge the market and see like, which TP stop loss you want to use depending on how the market's moving. Like right now, we're currently in May. The market's a little volatile right now because we're still in the spring, but as we get closer to June, the market's going to slow down a bit. So if you guys have been trading for a while, or you guys have been here with me, summer market's like the slow market. So once we get closer to that time period, it's going to be a lot harder for us to look for bigger moves. Like you can't go for like a 500 pip move or a 250 pip move because the market's going to be moving like 500 pips the entire day. Or not the entire day, but the entire session. All right, still nothing for us to take here, guys. Price is still like not doing anything. It's just consolidating sideways. It's been doing this pretty much for the past hour now. New low here, but not really too much. Let's see, Glenn said in the past, this is usually a time I take random trades, predicting the top or bottom, then losing my cool. If I lose trades, comes revenge trading. So glad I found this community. I get to practice discipline, which is crucial in this business. Yeah, exactly, Glenn. I think that's a key thing, guys. You guys have to understand when to sit out of the market. And then same with like Barty's question, you have to understand when to identify market conditions, whether you want to use a 10-30 split or 25-50 or 500-500. Market's not always going to give you that perfect split. It just really depends on how the market's moving. You got to take what the market gives you. You can't like, you shouldn't be like trying to force stuff in the market. If the market's not giving you any entries, like for example, here, we have a bunch of lower lows that are coming up, but there's no buy entries that are coming. Like there's no high level momentum scalps for a buy. Like again, we have a lower low right here. If we get buy signal above, I probably wouldn't take it because everything here is still bearish. And then going back to what I marked up earlier, I think the area that will be tested is going to be that lower level on the 10-minute right here. So it's still not there yet. It's getting close to it, but it's still not there yet. So yeah, still not looking for any buys, Nick, if you're looking for those scalps. Eventually I will be looking for buys though, because I do think price will shift above. What I would wait for is I'd wait for a confirmation. So I'd look for price to just shift. What I'd look for here, Nick, is I'd look for something like this to play out. So if we get a reversal and price starts to swing up, then okay, I'll start looking for some buy scalps if this happens, right? Because that's a reversal pattern. But right now you're just gambling. If you're looking for a buy right now, you're basically gambling because you're trying to catch the bottom and you're trying to catch it as it swings up, but that bottom can just keep bottoming out. So, I mean, you're just, that'd be a gamble move right there. I wouldn't take any buys right now until there's some sort of confirmation. Like you might get lucky, you might take a buy or you might get a buy signal and it might be valid. And yeah, you might get that quick 100 pips, but probability is not on your side if you're looking to take buys right now. So let's see. It's a question from Pierre. Pierre's asking 33,500 then up. I don't necessarily see a level around that area. Let me just check real quick. I don't know if you have like a specific analysis for that, Pierre, but I don't see any specific analysis for 33,500. I'm assuming you're just using whole numbers. So your analysis or your question is that asking whether price will bounce from this area here, right? 33,500. I don't see any structure there. So I don't think that's like a specific area where I think the bounce will happen. I think the bounce may happen around this area here because that's where structure is sitting, right? This is just a whole number. I know a lot of people like to trade around these whole numbers. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't see like that's just gambling as well, in my perspective. A lot of people think these are like psychological numbers, right? The whole numbers, they do work sometimes, but a lot of times they don't work. Like if you go back, and I've tested this before because I was trying to create a strategy based off these whole numbers. They look nice sometimes, but a lot of times they're just, I mean, they're just kind of, it's a psychological thing. Yeah, like C6 said, market makers know that you take whole numbers. And that's why I don't take whole numbers, because that's exactly what the market makers do. They're going to outsmart you, right? If you're looking at these over here, I mean, the whole numbers are cool, but the thing you have to realize is that the market makers know that everybody uses whole numbers. So for me personally, the way that I trade, I try to stay away from the way that everybody else trades. Like you'll see the common ways that people trade. They like to use Fibonacci. They like to trade support and resistance. They like to trade supply and demand, order blocks, etc. I don't trade any of that stuff because I usually like to do the opposite. Or if I'm trading something like that, I'm going against it. So like, for example, there's a possible bounce right here, but I probably wouldn't even look for the bouncer. I'd look for the possible breakthrough of the structure, right, in continuation. So like, if you guys remember, if you guys see my liquidity areas over here, so let me just show you guys real quick, the my areas of liquidity. So the way that I trade these is I do the opposite of most people, right? So if you guys have seen people trade liquidity before, or they don't trade liquidity, they call these like order block areas, right? So people will typically, what they'll do is they'll, let me go on the 1 hour. I'm trying to figure out where our entry was from earlier this morning. So like typically what a lot of people like to do is they like to identify these areas as order blocks or supply and demand, but I don't do that. I do the opposite. So like, let me see, like, so for example, I don't trade supply and demand. So, I mean, my supply and demand identifications might not be very accurate, but I just want to show you guys. Okay, like, so for example, right here, like some people might identify this as like supply and demand, right? This area right here. I identified this as liquidity. So I actually took this is where we took the sell. So what a lot of people do is they try to identify this as like supply and demand. And then what happens is price comes down. And what happens with most people is they try to take a buy here, right? Because they're like, okay, this supply zone is going to come down. It's going to have to retrace back up. So they're going to like look for a buy here. And they enter a buy there. Their stop loss is like a little bit below. And they try to write it up, right? For me, I do the opposite. I actually look to take the sell. So when people are looking to take buys here, I'm looking to do the opposite because I'm trying to think like the market maker. What's the market maker going to do? They're probably going to do the opposite and continue to drop price lower because everybody's looking for the bounce right here. And I'm looking for price to go opposite and continue dropping. And that's literally what happens here, right? Price drops lower, and that would have hit our TP right there if we're looking to take the sell for liquidity. So, and you can see right there, price dumps even farther down. And it pretty much blasted right through someone's, supply and demand area. So For me personally, I don't like to trade that way. I mean, you guys know that by now. I'm super contrarian when it comes to trading. I try to do the opposite of everybody else. Here, let's see. So Pierre mentioned start using DJ30, 33,500 is your area. Oh gosh, okay, Pierre. Yeah, so if that's the case, Pierre, then yeah, that might be the case. That's probably where the balance may likely bounce from. So yeah, if you're using a different data set, your pricing might be a bit off. But yeah, so if you're using DJ300 to DJ30, I'm assuming you're using Black Bull. Or I don't know, you might be using something. If you use US30, there's a lot of different brokers here that you can use. And the zones are going to be zoned differently. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, if your zone is around the same area as mine, Pierre, then yeah, I could probably see that being the case where the bounce may happen from there. Whoops, I just deleted it. I'll just draw it again. Yeah, so what I would probably look for here is I would look for price to come down and then look for a V1 variation when price gets to that point. So if price does get to this area right here, I'd look for a double body, double wick rejection. And then from there, I'd look for the bounce from that point. But again, it might not play out that way. I mean, price can break right through it. So I wouldn't really bank on it. I would just keep it as a confluence. If you're looking for, if you see a, some sort of reversal strategy come up or a reversal pattern, you can probably see that as a confluence and then use this as a confluence for the bounce. But I wouldn't bank on just that zoned area. I never trade like that. I never just like try to look for bounces and then look for, immediate entries. All right, so going back to the 1 minute over here, it looks like, I mean, nothing's really going on, but price is starting to try to shift to the upside. So we'll see if that happens where price bounces from here, retrace and continuation. If that becomes the case, then great. If not, then it's got to keep waiting. Let's see. Let me scroll over here real quick. Satyam is asking, Sean, any Forex pairs and strategy you recommend to work on? If you want to trade Forex, I would just stick to the major pairs. For me personally, my favorite pair to trade is like AUD USD. I think that's probably one of the more smoother pairs. So AUD USD, that's what I use for the most part. But you can apply the same strategies here. Any of the strategies that we apply on here work on those assets as well. So, I mean, you can trade whatever you like, but all these strategies work on all time frames. You just have to, they work on all time frames and pretty much all assets. You just have to test them out to see, because I haven't tested them out in a while on Forex, but I'm pretty sure they still work as long as it's volatile. But the thing with Forex is that you have to make sure that it's actually moving. So like US30 here, it's easy to apply because there's a lot of direction. It's not really sideways too much. Sometimes we'll get a sideways market like this, but eventually it'll break out of it, right? You go to something like a Forex pair, this here is, it's a lot of ranging movement. So you're not going to get like those big pushes and continuation. It's going to push, consolidate, push, consolidate, etc. So for me personally, I like to identify, so like, for example, I have an entry here that's running for UJ, right? The entry for this right here is that I identified this low right here, and then I saw a V1 variation rejection off it, right? This is a zone right here. Price came up, came back for the retest, rejected off it with a V1 variation. And that's where this buy was taken on UJ. I'm looking for the same thing here on AUD USD, but I'm not looking for the rejection off the top side. So I'd probably look for price to come back down. That's why I have these zones marked up right here. What I would look for is I would look for the retracement back down, look for a V1 variation, rejection off the zone, and then I would take that for a buy right here, whenever I had that opportunity to get in. So, I mean, a lot of these strategies work, but you have to be a lot more patient. Like if you're not patient for US30, Forex is going to be a whole nother ballgame for you. Because Forex here, you're going to hold on to these positions for a long time. Like for example, UJ position right here, this thing's been running for a long time since last Thursday. It's been running for like 3 days now. So, and if you don't have patience, I wouldn't recommend trading Forex. because you're gonna need a lot of patience, and your trade psychology is gonna have to be on point, because you're either gonna pull out early from the trades, or you're gonna be stuck in that position. You're gonna get like stressed out holding on to it if it goes into drawdown. Let's see, Visual Trader said, I got this EA called Fast Copy. You can copy from master account to other accounts. It is pretty fast. Paid $50 for it. Interesting. Is it like I'm like curious how that works, Visual Trader, because like usually if you want to copy accounts, you would have to have like a virtual server, right? So you have to have like a bunch of MC4s open at once. So I'm like curious how that would work. Like my copier works because we're on a virtual server. Like we have all the accounts logged in on a virtual server, and then it just copies over. But if you're doing it like on one computer just at once, I think you need to have like, because Sisuk in the group, he trades on multiple accounts, but he has like multiple MC4s open. So I'm assuming that's how it works. But curious. Because I don't even know how to open multiple MC4s on the Mac. I know you can do it on computer because you can open different programs, but on the Mac it's a little different because it's not native to the platform. It's I mean, because if I'm doing that, I'm running like multiple virtual servers on a virtual server. Because if you guys are using MC4 on your Mac, guys, this isn't the actual Mac app. They never made it for the Mac. This is just they use Wine, so it's running on a virtual server on here. All right, so let's see where price is going right now. Price is still kind of going sideways. There's not really too much going on here, guys. Price is still consolidating to the side. I mean, there's no direction here. Still the same, 7:37 right now. It's getting close to 8 o'clock, but we still have some time in the market. But nothing for us to take here. Let me just mark up low. Let's see, Barty said prices creating liquidity and breaking out. Not sure where you're seeing liquidity, Barty. Liquidity is like way down here. Down there. So I don't see any liquidity getting created down here at all. In order for there to be liquidity, price would have to be pushing up. So like this is an example of liquidity getting created right here. I don't see any liquidity here at all. And you're probably analyzing it differently, but I don't see any liquidity here. Like there's liquidity right here because price is pushing up. Like if I was to rewind this, price created liquidity right here, right? So when price came down right there, see how price gets near this area of liquidity and blasts right through it. That's liquidity. I don't see any liquidity here at all, though. Like there's, from my analysis, there's no liquidity because price is not pushing up. It has to push up. Like for example, you need to get something like this. Well, I do see liquidity on the top side, so that might be what you're referring to. So you might be referring to liquidity on the top side, but I wouldn't necessarily look for that here unless you have like some sort of confirmation. I know there's liquidity right here on the top side. But again, this is the 1 minute time frame. I wouldn't really bank on these liquidity areas here because this can just fake out. Like, yeah, price can push up and hit this area of liquidity here, but it could just be a fake out and price will just come right back down. Let's see, Barty mentioned equal lows and breaking. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's your way of identifying it. If I see equal lows like that, I'm considering this a support. Right? If I get equal lows like this is going to be considered support for me. I don't consider this liquidity. But I mean, that's your analysis. So maybe that's how you analyze it. But I see this as a support. I don't really see this as liquidity being created equal lows. If I see a same level getting tested multiple times, that is created as like, I see it as support or resistance. Like if I see this area right here getting tested a bunch of times too, but there's no one way to analyze things. Like for me personally, I see this as support and resistance because if it gets tested multiple times and has failure breaking through it, this is support and resistance for me. But if you consider this liquidity, I mean, that's just your analysis. There's no right or wrong way to trade. So I don't want to like discourage you from like analyzing the way that you're doing, Barty. But for me personally, I see this as support resistance. I don't see any liquidity here getting built up at all. I do see liquidity on the top side, but again, as I mentioned, we need to have some sort of confirmation before I can catch that or identify it as pushing up. So yeah, for me, that just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit my criteria for analysis. Anyways, let me go on the higher time frames here. Let me see if there's any other. Yeah, because I don't see any liquidity here on the 10. Next area of liquidity is up here. 15-minute. Yeah, there's just too much noise on the 1 minute, so I wouldn't necessarily use those areas of liquidity, or I wouldn't even consider them. Let's see, visual trader said, you don't need anything, you just need an account and it being one computer. You can copy MT4 to open multiple ones. Nice. Well, which one are you using, visual? I'll take a look at it. I mean, I could like try it on like a demo account. I wouldn't try it on my real accounts yet, but I mean, that sounds like a cool tool to use. So yeah, no, I mean, I could take a look at it. It sure beats paying the subscription fee for the copier. So if you guys are using the copier, you have to pay a subscription fee. So like for me here, I have like 5 accounts, but I got to pay a fee. I think I pay like, I don't know, like $100 or $120 a month to have this, but it's worth it, right? Because I take one trade and copies to all of them. So it's not a huge fee, but yeah, if I can avoid that fee, obviously I would. All right, there's no entries for us right here, guys. This is the liquidity chart. I don't see any areas of liquidity for me to take here. We're back over here on the 1 minute. As you guys can see, there's a lower low, price broken, closed past the pivots, but there was no buy signal, so there's no entry to take here at all. There's a pending buy signal right here. Looks like price might be shifting back to the upside. Let me check the markup that I had earlier. Price actually didn't get down to that area yet, so price may be coming back down. It just might be a retracement, and it may continue back down. So I'd be a little careful. I'd be careful trading in either direction right now. But it looks like the 1 minute is starting to shift back to the upside. So you can see right here, it's starting to establish new higher highs. So we have new higher high right here. The pattern that you guys might want to be looking for is the reversal, right? Low, high, low, high. It's probably what you guys want to look for there. Low, high, low, high. All right, so we currently have a higher high right here. And if price comes back below, we may have a possible entry for a high level momentum scalp here. So if price breaks and closes past the pivots 1 and 2 right here, and the candle is clear, then possible entry there for a high level momentum scalp. Again, you guys want to analyze this candle individually, and you want to make sure that the candle doesn't look iffy. Right now, it's not super strong. You can see right there is a big wick on the bottom side. So it's not really looking too smooth right now at the moment specifically. How about 15 seconds left on this candle? So we got some time. Thanks, Sisu, for your input right there. Sisu just had some input regarding the Forex pairs in the Zoom chat. All right, still nothing here, guys. Again, you want to focus on the most recent candle right here. You're looking for that sell. Volatility here is starting to die down. All right, guys, I just realized it's 7:45 right now. It's getting close to 8 o'clock. As you guys can see, kind of pushed up a little bit, faked out. Now it's coming back down. Price is still back in this range. So you guys can see the range right here. There's not really too much going on. It's really just, it's been consolidating for like the past hour from like this area to here. And I don't really see too much movement happening or any confirmation of anything really pushing through. But I mean, I'll keep looking. All right, so we have a possible sell signal right here. So if this candle breaks and closes past pivots 1 and 2, again, you want to make sure that this candle here is, a pretty solid candle, like it's going to hold and stay. This right here is not nice. Like, I don't like how this is moving right here. Price kind of pushed down, then it shot up. Now it's invalid sell signal. It's not really too solid. I think what I would focus on is like the last 30 seconds of the candle. So we got about 30 seconds now. And then looking at this from this point at the last 30 seconds, you can kind of determine whether it's going to be a strong candle or not. Right here does not look like a strong candle at all. Price is still bouncing around this area. So right here, price is now pushing down pretty nicely. If it starts to pull back like towards the last 10 seconds or so, like right here, it's starting to pull back. If it pulls back a little more, then this is something that you might want to wait. Like, for example, right there, see how it pulled back and it disappeared? This is one that I would not take for sure. Or if it was to close, I'd wait for retracement. And again, right there, it does not close. So there's no entry here, and it does not look like we're going to have an entry here anytime soon. So there's a new high low that's established right below. So it's not really a good area at all here. All right, so there's no area, there's no entry. Sell signal disappeared, just like how we anticipated. So if you guys ever look at these momentum signals, probably wait for the last 30 seconds. First 30 seconds are kind of irrelevant. And then the last 30 seconds is going to show you the strength of the candle. If this candle's strong, then it'll probably continue pushing down. But if not, then it's probably not going to. Edwin's asking if I have a daily goal. No, I don't. I just take whatever comes up. Sometimes I'll get 1 trade a day. Sometimes I'll get 10 trades a day, right? I don't think you should ever really limit yourself to a daily goal. You should limit yourself to a trading period, though. I think that's the key thing. So like for us, if you want to trade US30, the fastest time when the market's moving is like 6:30 to 8, right? That's market open until like an hour in when you get the full move. So for me personally, I don't think there should really be a limit. I mean, it depends on the person. So for me, I don't really have issues with trade psychology. I don't overtrade. I don't revenge trade. I don't FOMO. I FOMO sometimes, but not very often. If I start to FOMO, I'm like done trading for the day. But for the people who have problems with overtrading and revenge trading, then yeah, you should probably have a trading goal. But for me, I don't have that problem. So I can just trade between the hour and hour and a half that I'm on here, and I'm fine. Whether I get 1 trade, 2 trades, 5 trades, or 10 trades, I'm cool because I'm still like applying the strategy how they're supposed to be applied. All right, guys, it's getting close to 8 o'clock. It's 7:48 right now. So we have about 12 minutes till 8. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Just a reminder, we'll be having our mentoring session later today at 2 p.m. So if you guys want to wait for that, you guys are fine. And if you guys want me to change the date or time for the sessions, just let me know. If you guys can't make it 2 p.m. and you really want to join, just let me know and we can reschedule. Other than that, so we got Chow over here. Chow said, now I got to do this verification. Thanks for everything, bro. Nervous, excited about the next step. So Chow over here just passed his challenge. He's now going to get his verification and then, that next step. So Chow, what I'd recommend is to take this easy. For the verification, I see a lot of people pass the challenge and they get to the verification and their whole trade setup, like their whole trade strategy just completely changes. So just stick to your game plan, do whatever you did to pass the challenge, and you should be perfectly fine with the verification. So I don't know why, but a lot of people do that. It's like they'll pass the challenge, and then as soon as they get to their verification, they start doing something completely different, and then they end up blowing their account. So yeah, my recommendation is to stick to it. Hey man, I just realized that your username's MC. This whole time I thought MC was a different person, but MC is your initials, Matt Chow. I always thought you were somebody else because there's another person in the group that went by MC as well. And this whole time I thought it was that person, but now I realize it's you. Nick said the verification was the easy part for him. Yeah, so I mean, it's a little different. Some people it's easy, some people it's not. But I think for the most part, majority of people typically fail around the verification area because they start to change their trading style. Or what happens with a lot of people is that they start to think that they know everything, which is fine. I mean, sometimes you gotta take that pill, right? you got to act like you know everything. And then once you blow your account, you'll be humbled real quick. And that's fine, because for a lot of people, you have to, I feel like a lot of people do have to lose before you can get to that next step. Like you do have to have a couple losses so that you guys understand how losses feel. And then, you know, the next time around, you typically do a lot better. All right. So there's still nothing for us to take here at all, guys. I don't think there's anything coming up at all. There's no sell signal that came up. There's a new higher high here building up though. So there may be another opportunity, but price is getting close to 8 o'clock. This bar over here, this blue line is going to be the 8 o'clock timestamp. So once we get to that point, I'm going to be done trading. It's all right. We kind of expected this to happen on Monday. The reason for this is because it's a bank holiday for the UK, bank holiday for Europe, pretty much. And there's no news for today. There was final wholesale inventories month over month, but it was pretty much neutral, 0%. So not necessarily much going on today. A lot of the news happens on Wednesday though. So tomorrow might be a little slow too. We do have the Fed speaking pre-market, Fed member Jefferson speaking at 5:30. We'll see if that pushes price around. And then we have all the news coming on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Basically, a lot of inflation news: CPI, core CPI, PPI, core PPI, unemployment claims, and then also prelim UOM consumer sentiment and prelim UOM inflation expectations. So a lot of the news happens around Wednesday. Unfortunately, it does not look like we're going to have any official entries for today specifically. But we'll see. Yeah, Nick said if you look there at 3 invalid signals in a row, definitely a good day to sit out the market unless you caught that liquidity earlier. That was a solid move for sure. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Nick, 100%. So what Nick just mentioned right now is that he identified 3 invalid signals, right? This is a hint to show you guys that the market is not really moving directional too much right now, and there's no clear direction, because typically we don't even get these invalid signals very often. It's just a bunch of fake outs. You know, price will provide a buy signal and then the last second price spikes down. Price provided a sell signal here, at the last second price spiked up. Same with right here. So not exactly the best time to trade or best area to trade. I mean, price is just ranging. So you can see this right here. There's not really too much going on. With regard to direction, I mean, I'll mark up the high lows here. This is a clean chart. You guys can see it a lot better here. Yeah, so here's a clean chart right here. There's not really much going on. Price is just consolidating and ranging sideways right here. So basically for the past hour, price hasn't really done much. Straight sideways movement. All right, Satyam, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Satyam said, thanks, guys, and Sean today. See you guys tomorrow. We'll see you back here on the next live session. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions that you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat. It's 7:54 right now. It's getting close to 8, and I don't really see anything happening in the next 6 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, I can answer whatever you need help with. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping this up. There's no point in forcing any trades right here, right now. There's a possible maybe high-low momentum scalp that might come up right here. There's a higher high right there. So if we get a sell signal that comes up anytime soon, possible entry, but it's not looking like it. Looks like price may be shifting back to the upside, or it may be a temporary shift. So price may shift up slightly for retracement, because if you look over here on the 30-minute, price is overextended a bit, right? Price came down from this higher high right here. It pretty much came down directly about, yeah, it came down a lot. So like on this 30-minute chart right here, prices come down basically 2,000 pips with no retracement. So price is now retracing from this area, 2,200 pips. Price is retracing up a little bit, and then it may continue back down. So this is kind of what I might see happening here. Price came down a little bit, retracement, come back down, bounce off this area, and then correction back up. So I think this here might be a fake out. You know, people might be trying to chase this buy to the upside. Then price will come back down to stop them out. And then from here, this is where the actual push will happen. But I mean, I could be wrong. This isn't necessarily what's going to happen. This is just kind of what I see happening personally, because I'm always looking to see what the market makers are doing, because that's typically the opposite of retail traders. So let me check the sentiment real quick. Sentiment is now at 63% short. So yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy. All right, Van Harwig said, thanks, Sean. See you tomorrow. Definitely. We'll see you back here tomorrow. So, all right, guys, it's getting close to 8 o'clock. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, if you guys want to email me, you guys can always email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com. Also, if you guys are new here and you guys want to learn any of these strategies that we discussed today, just go out to the website, KodiKaiTrades.com, click on unlock your free access right here. This will give you access to the free intro course. The intro course looks like, free intro course looks like this. Pretty much all the strategies we covered. So I think I talked about the high-low scalp or high-low momentum scalp. That's the main strategy we're applying. Liquidity is not on here though. So looking at liquidity pushes, I don't cover this on here because I don't like teaching it to new traders. It's a very risky way to trade. If you guys want to look at the liquidity pushes, like the trade that we took this morning. So this morning I took this trade here, which was a liquidity push. I drew liquidity here pre-market, price dropped below, took the sell right there, went straight to my full TP. I locked in, how much did I lock in today? I locked in 2,740 on my main account, 1,840 on my second account, 670 on my MFF number 1, 670 on my MFF number 2, and MFF number 3. So total profit of 6,590 for the day off this one trade. If you guys want to look at this trade, pull up the mentoring session from last week and the week before that. I covered it in detail. So just go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/KodiKaiTrades. Go down to mentoring sessions right here, live mentoring sessions, and look at the one right here from May 1st, and then the one before that over here on April 25th. So we'll have another mentoring session today. If you guys want me to review that strategy, just let me know. I'll cover it during the mentoring session. But other than that, I think that's about it, guys. Sorry, guys, 1 second. All right, guys, I'm back. So, all right, other than that, guys, we're going to wrap this up. It's getting close to 8 o'clock. I don't see any other entries here, so it's not really worth the risk to like stay on here and try to force something. So it looks like price might be shifting up, but as you guys can see, price is rejecting directly off the sessions right here. So price may be coming right back down. So if you guys are looking for entries, I would probably be careful. Make sure that you do a full analysis. So I'll just analyze everything for you guys one more time before we log off. Looking over here at fundamentals are currently down 59 points. They've been pretty much around this area all day today. So not really too much movement. It's pretty much bearish neutral at the moment because it needs to be below 100 points for it to be very bearish. Looking over here at sentiment 63% short. So this is indicating to take buys. This is indicating to take sells. And looking over here at the overall trend, currently the 1 minute is neutral, 5 minutes bearish, 10 minutes bearish, 30 minute is neutral. 1 hour is neutral, and the 4 hours neutral as well. So there's not really much bias here. Price is pretty much going sideways. So it's a mixed bag right now, not necessarily a type of market that I would recommend to trade in. So again, right here, there may be a possible entry for a sell, and there isn't. So that sell signal just disappeared, and there's no entry right there again, guys. So all right, guys, that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here at 2 p.m. for the mentoring session. So I'll be back here in about 6 hours.